Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Diamond Discussion Podcast. Alongside my co-hosts, we got Joe Stumpo and Ben Angiano. Our second annual awards predictions for this upcoming season. If you guys listened to the first one, you saw how well me and Joe did last year. So hopefully, we're here to rectify that, and I don't know, maybe Ben will be the good luck charm. Um, but overall, I want to jump in right away, uh, giving some light to the young kids in obviously in baseball. So we're going to start off with the rookie of the years. Um, I'm going to let Ben lead this off. Ben, who do you got for AL Rookie of the Year?
So yeah, we've seen this guy have a premier impact already in the postseason, not fully in the regular season. I'm gonna go with starting pitcher from the Toronto Blue Jays, Trey Savage. I think this kid is due for a great sophomore year. Technically, it's his rookie year though, because he only pitched for 3 weeks in the regular season. So he's already gotten a taste of obviously the big time postseason moments. I think he's going to do really good in the regular season, whether he's pitcher 3, pitcher 4 in that rotation alongside Cease and Gossman, however you look at it. I think he's going to have a great year 2, technically. I mean, yeah, because I really count year 1 last year. So he does still have AL Rookie of the Year eligibility. But I'm going to go Trey Savage for this one.
I'm going to actually take his new teammate, Kazuma Akamoto. I think he's going to be a huge part of that lineup. I think he's going to be a huge piece defensively. I think he's actually going to show that he's a little bit better defender than what people think, and they're actually going to be a defensive upgrade as well. So I think he's going to show his all around game. But I think that huge piece for him is going to be his bat in that lineup. I think he's going to have over 65 RBIs. I really do. I think with guys on base, he's going to be a real thorn in a lot of pitchers' sides. So I really do see him taking this award, and I do him seeing gelling in the majors quicker rather than later. So I think it's going to take him not too much time to transition, and I see him having a strong first season in the major leagues.
Yeah, honestly, I love both picks, and it seems that the AL Rookie of the Year is going to run through Toronto because I am also taking Akamoto. Honestly, I think he is the best out of the crop that has come out of Japan. I think his bat in that Toronto lineup is going to be stellar. Kind of like what Joe said, I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities to produce and drive in runs. And I have just this feeling that he is going to translate very well to the major leagues. I just love what I've seen from him. The tape that I've seen on him, he looks very scary. And I'll be honest, I know the biggest thing was Murakami. Leading up to this season, Murakami was going to be the headlining hitter, and I think Akamoto is slowly, at least in the offseason, he's slowly taken a little of that fire away from him from Murakami. And I think as this season progresses, I think he's just going to light it up and be fantastic.
I like that. I really do. Another guy I thought about taking right here was Imai. I actually did want to take Imai in this one. I thought it'd be a very cool pick as well. But I just like the upside with you, Savage. He's kind of a little bit more proven as well. We don't know how Imai is going to translate, but that's a guy I had in mind for this award as well.
Listen, I'll be honest. Out of all the options that we've mentioned, I think every single one of them is going to be there. I think that could be an easy 1, 2, 3. Through it. Either one of them, either one of the three could easily, take that award. All have stellar talent, so that's going to be interesting. I really do, Ben. I really do like yours with Trey Savage. I think that kid, he's got it, man. We saw what he's capable of in the
Yeah.
playoffs. So, I mean, for him to do that on the biggest stage and how well he did it, and you said he's only been in the major leagues for 3 weeks. You never would know that if you watched this. If you watched any of his playoff starts, you would never know. You think this guy's been around 5, 6 years, done this before, been there, done that. He just has that aura about him. So I love that pick, to be honest. But if we can, moving on, we are going to go to the NL side of it. We got the NL kids on this side. Ben, who is your National League Rookie of the Year?
Yes, from the NL Central, I'm gonna go with Connor Griffin from the Pittsburgh Pirates. I talked about him very highly yesterday in the video we did, and I'm gonna keep it going because I think he's gonna break camp. I think he's gonna be their starting shortstop, and I do believe he's gonna have similar impact to what Kurtz had last year for the Athletics, but obviously for the Pirates. I see him as a well-rounded talent defensively as well, kind of five tool in a way. So we'll see how he does in his rookie year. But I'm going to take Connor Griffin. I like that. And I believe he was at plus 700 in the odds. So pretty good, pretty good.
I also have Connor Griffin winning this award. I know he hasn't officially made that major league roster yet, but I think it's going to be sooner rather than later as well. Before he gets a crack, at the major league level, and yeah, he just looks great. Obviously, there was a video surfacing a couple of days ago of him literally drilling a car in left field. The ball was absolutely demolished. This kid has some real power, and I think he's going to be a real big piece for this team. And I do think. I have them making the play. I had Pittsburgh yesterday in our video as a team that's going to make the second wild card, and I think he's going to have every part of that team making the second wild card. I think there's going to be times where actually he carries them offensively. So I see this kid being a huge star later on in his career, and I do see him winning the NL Rookie of the Year.
Honestly, both are fair, and he's a fantastic pick in my opinion as well. He was a thought in my head, but guys, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be the first one to do it. I am taking the homer pick. I'm sorry. I'm going Nolan McLean. If you guys watched any of his starts last year, I know you guys have, but our listeners out there, if you have watched any ounce of Nolan McLean on the mound, you want to talk about looks like he's been there and done that, and his stuff is absolutely disgusting. His slider, the way that ball moves, it looks like he's throwing a frisbee. He is going to have so many people off balance. I don't think there's really any room for, I don't even want to call it a sophomore slump because he hasn't officially had a full year. But I don't know if, I think he's going to be a major problem. I think he's going to keep hitters on their toes. He's gone up against some of the best lineups in baseball, and he made a lot of guys look silly. He is absolute filth. I love what he brings to the table. I love his confidence, and I love his stuff. I think it's absolute filth. I've said that multiple times, but that's the reality of it. I'm going with the homer. I'm doing the homer pick first. I'm going to break the ice there. Nolan McLean, NL Rookie of the Year. And listen, to either side of that, with Griffin, with McLean, I think, again, same thing. I think either guy would be a stellar choice, and obviously we would love to see that. We'd love to see these guys live up to their potential, outside of the, these young guys coming up, and, there's got to be a future somewhere. So, and listen, I don't hate the Griffin thing because Pittsburgh needs some sense of a bright spot. I know we discussed them potentially making the playoffs. We like what they've done, and that would be, listen, with Skeens, they need something else. They need the other side of the ball there. So I would love that for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Nolan McLean, he's obviously the favorite right now in NL Rookie of the Year at plus 350. He leads the NL Rookie of the Year odds to win this award, and rightfully so. If you saw what he did, even in his small duration in the regular season, I mean, this guy, he's filthy, bro. He's absolutely filthy. He's going to be in Team USA as well, so we get to see how he does against this worldwide talent. I think it's going to be amazing to see.
Yeah, no, listen, McLean is filthy. It's definitely not a pick that's like not sensible. It's this kid was lights out. You would have thought that he was in the league 2 or 3 years already. At that point, it looked like he had his stuff just completely clicking from day one. And like Mike said, he faced some playoff tested teams that were fighting for a spot, teams that were in the playoffs already, and he just looked like he was very comfortable. After each start, and that's what's more important is that after each start, he gets that comfortability level just rises and rises. So I'm sure he'll take that into this season coming up, and he'll be a lot more comfortable where he could just keep on going to match what he was doing last year.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be really interesting to see him in his first full season on the mound. I think it's I really think it's going to be stellar. I think it's going to be really something special to watch. I'm very excited for that. But moving on to maybe the other side of the ball a little bit. And yes, I'm sorry, guys. We have to keep you here because we want you guys to be here. So your AL MVP and NL MVP, that's coming at the end. You guys got to earn that. So you got to stay tuned. Don't go skipping across the video or on Spotify or anything like that to get to the end, because we do have some pretty good stuff here. So we're gonna jump over now to reliever of the year. We're gonna start again on the AL side. Ben, who is your AL reliever of the year?
Gonna go with Andre Munoz, my Mexican friend, and Andre Munoz. I love this guy. I'm so excited that he's gonna be pitching for Team Mexico this year. And not even just that, he had a great season last year. It just got overshadowed because Aroldis Chapman literally went nuclear and found out how to locate his pitches for the first time in his career, quote unquote, which is obviously unearthly. But look, I'm gonna go Munoz right here. I think if the Mariners are in these close games and he comes in the ninth, he's gonna close that game out 9 times out of 10. So I'm gonna go Andres Munoz from the Seattle Mariners to win reliever of the year.
I'm actually going to go Carlos Estevez from the Kansas City Royals.
I like that.
He had a monster year last year. And not for nothing, that Kansas City offense kind of failed him a little bit, only because I think he would have got more save opportunities, if they were up in games late. There was a point in time where he actually gave up 1 run in his last 27 appearances, which is unbelievable. So he was lights out literally towards the end of the year. And I think the last 15 appearances, he actually went scoreless and then gave up a run, I think maybe his second to last appearance in the regular season. So he was that lights out last year. So I'm going to say that Kansas City gets a little bit better offensively. Maybe they shore things up. They give him a couple more chances to get some save opportunities, and he's going to cash in on those saves. I think he'll be right there for save leader as well in the AL. And I do think he's going to win reliever of the year. Representing the Kansas City Royals.
Honestly, I love both of those picks, to be honest with you. And this is now the first award we're going to have where we're all different. For reliever of the year coming out of the AL on my end, I'm going David Bednar. I'm sure that's maybe a shock to Jay over there. Yeah, I'm going back-to-back guys out of New York with awards. I'm going to go David Bednar. I liked what he translated to. I know his first outing as a Yankee in Miami did not go well. He does not pitch well in Miami. Outside of that, I thought he was lights out for you guys. I think he took over that closer role and took the bull by the horns and ran with it. I think it's going to be the same thing. I think he might even be more lights out than he was towards, down the stretch for the Yankees. I really like him in New York. I love what I saw, like I said. And I think he's got the stuff, he's got the build, and he's got the mindset to succeed. He didn't have that Devin Williams issue where, he had to translate and even the Edwin Diaz issue. He jumped right into the mix. He had one bad outing to start his career in New York, and you could think, this is going to be bad. And he completely bounced back, and he was, absolutely filth. So I love that pick for me. I always like Bednar. He's been solid. I know he's been a little up and down, but I think the down is now behind him.
Yeah, I like that. I actually thought about going Emmanuel. Oh, wait, no. I mean, Kate Smith from the Guardians.
Oh, no.
That's my fault.
Wow.
That is my fault. I thought about going Kate Smith from the Guardians. He had a great year.
Wow. Do you want to bet on that or?
No, I don't think I want to dab into that. But I thought about going with him. He had a great year last year. I think he's going to have another good year, but I'm not really that high on the Guardians this year. So, yeah, that's my
How are we keeping straight faces right now? This is crazy.
That was fantastic, bro. Bro, I don't know if you did that on purpose or not, but if you did, that was amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that was definitely on purpose.
That was a beautiful setup. Even better of a beautiful setup because now we're gonna swap over to the NL side of it, and we're not gonna do any of that. So, Ben, jump on board. What do you got for the NL reliever of the year?
So yeah, I thought about 2 guys right here. One, they both play in the same division in NL West, but I'm going with Mason Miller. I think he's going to be the most dominant closer in all of baseball this year. As long as he's there in the 9th inning, San Diego's going to have a chance. As long as they're leading, obviously, with the save opportunities, this guy's absolutely filth. If we're talking about absolute filth, how could we not talk about Mason Miller? Yeah, I'm going to go Miller right here. It was either between him or Diaz because I think Diaz is going to have a lot of chances to get saves with the Dodgers more so. So it was either between one of them, but I'm going Mason Miller.
So I had the same problem, but except I had 3 guys that I was struggling between. It was Mason Miller, Edwin Diaz, but I'm going Johan Duran from the Phillies. I think that he's just going to have a lights out season. I think he pitches in a little bit easier of a division where, they could navigate a little bit better. I just don't see how the Padres and Miller are going to just be able to have leads in the 9th. I don't see a really good year from the San Diego Padres this year. I just don't. For some reason, there's something telling me that they're going to struggle mightily, and it's going to affect Miller's chances to get saves and also to make appearances that are high leverage. So I was going to go with the guy that I think is going to be fighting for a division and fighting for a wild card, making big time outs, big time strikeouts, saving a lot of runs, and I think that's just going to be Duran. So I'm going Duran to win reliever of the year for the Phillies.
If there was a way that I can copy and paste everything you just said and just do it again, I would because I have the same pick. And I also have the same issue with Mason Miller.
I really want to take Mason Miller, though. I really do.
Yeah. he was there for me. His stuff and what he could do in the ninth inning is not my issue with him, and why I don't think he's this award. It's because of the team around him. I think there's just too much toxicity. I think they hit their mark last year. If you guys remember, so some of our loyal listeners, me and Joe didn't have the Padres even being as good as they were. I believe we both didn't have them in the playoffs. So I think now everything that has gone on with that team, they're looking to move guys. They got all these bad contracts, and guys are aging. I think that's going to be part of the problem. But Duran, I think he fit in very nicely in Philadelphia. Got to see it firsthand. And he's lethal. A lot of people realize that because how much, especially East Coast people, a lot of our listeners are from the East Coast, and how much do you really get to watch a Minnesota Twin reliever? You don't. And then he goes to Philly. He's got the big entrance. He's got that big sexy entrance with the lights and everything going on, like most of these guys do now. But he fit right into that role. He was exactly what Philly needed. And I think he's going to be a big catalyst to keep Philly, I don't want to say afloat, but I still think the NL East is going to be a dogfight. That's a video for another day. But yeah, I'm going Johan Duran.
I like that. I think my thought process with Miller was with how great that Padres bullpen still is with guys like Estrada, Jason Adam, even Morejón. As long as they could get it to Miller some way, somehow, even if it's a 1-0 game, 2-1 game in the ninth, that's where those save opportunities could create. And I'll be looking for him in fantasy, hopefully.
I had Duran in one of my fantasy teams, and I actually had Munoz in another.
Oh, wow.
He was fantastic for me. Munoz, especially to start the season, was incredible.
But this category took me like the longest out of all the categories. I will say that I really struggled to say how can I take him over Mason Miller, but then I was like, if you look at this guy's numbers, it's not ridiculous to take him. So
no, it's not a number thing. It really isn't with Miller. It's just like I said, like the both of us kind of alluded to. It's really the team that's around him. That's
chances,
the issue.
And
that is definitely the issue. Guys, listen, before we move on to the second half of the awards here or whatever it is, but I just want to say, as usual, you guys know my spiel. Light up our comment section. How many of you agree with our takes and our picks so far for the awards that we've given you? How many of you completely disagree? And if you do, tell us who you think your picks are. Give us a whole list of everybody is before we finish. Even whatever it is, give us all of your picks down the order. Go in order with us, whatever you want. And if you agree with us, great. If you don't, great. And it's something we could always talk about. It makes us think. We love to see it. We love to see your comments, and we do appreciate you guys doing that. One final thing before we actually do move on, because I've been dealing with this lately. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, how many of you guys can't stand dealing with your car issues? I know I can't. And how many of you actually have time to go deal with, a mechanic at a shop that you actually trust? Because I feel like I've gone through them 100 times over. I feel like you're always getting beaten over the head. And to be honest with you, I know sports. I don't know cars. I feel like it's one or the other. You know cars or you know sports. If not, like maybe a little bit of both. That's really about it. So I don't know jack about cars, but I came across a pretty solid business guy. He will come to your house. I don't know how convenient. I don't know how much more convenient that could be. He actually will come to your house, fix your car in your driveway, out on the street. Better yet, if you don't have time to do all that, he'll come to your job, depending on your situation. Out of the Staten Island area, we have Anthony Argento. He's very well reachable. 949-939-0120. I will do that one more time. 949-939-0120. Call for any inquiry about your car, any issue you can. Very well trusted, very reasonable, and is going to be as honest as possible. I dealt with him. I've been dealing with him over the last few days, and he has been absolutely fantastic. I'm in the process of getting my vehicle fixed, and he's been nothing but upfront, straightforward, showing me exactly where he's getting parts from, exactly how much they cost, honest as they come. So, guys, if you can, even if you're in the Brooklyn area, depending on the job that you need, he will come to you. He will. It's a discussion that should be had. Guys, reach out to that number and give it a shot.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to get into the, I guess, old men. And I say that because they are not players. They are not players. We're going to go manager of the year. Listen, some of the managers now are our age, or younger than Joe, or my age. It's crazy.
I know.
Now.
It's crazy.
Next thing you know, they're going to be Ben's age. And it's going to be like, what's going on here?
Oh,
I'll throw my hat in the mix if they want me.
Do it. Do it. I can't wait to see Mr. Anguiano, new manager of the Brewers. Actually, nah, you're going to manage the Reds your first
No,
job.
you would manage
Yeah,
the
we gotta-
Cubs. You're managing the Cubs.
The Cubs, yeah.
Rockies.
Rockies? You're going to turn
Yeah.
the Rockies around? All right.
Just
I love the
don't,
confidence.
just don't get rid of their mascot, please.
No,
Their
I won't have
mascot,
Yeah, no,
Rock-
dude, you can't do that. And if you do any Drew Brees flag football stuff in the dugout or in the
Wait.
clubhouse,
Time out. If Brew becomes the mascot of the Rockies, I think Rocco could have a job.
Oh my god.
we might have a thing.
Rocco,
We might have a thing.
Rocky,
Think about it.
That's not a bad. All right, listen, if I got to move to Colorado, I'm in. I'm friends with the manager of the Rockies. Who are you?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
All right, so let's get down to brass tacks here. Brew, the award that everybody is waiting for. Who is your pick for AL Manager of the Year?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Matt Quatrero from the Kansas City Royals. I think I'm buying in on the Kansas City Royals bounce back year. They had a very underwhelming year last year, and I don't really believe he's a bad manager. I actually really believe in him. I think one thing that's gonna help the Royals this year, obviously, I don't know if you guys seen, we talked about it a little bit, but for all our listeners, they moved up the fences there at Kauffman Stadium, and I think that's gonna be big time for them. It's gonna bring a lot of confidence boost for rookies like Jack Caglione, Carter Jensen. So yeah, I'm going to be looking at the Royals for a big bounce back year. And I think this award kind of plays out to a team that takes that leap and which manager kind of, brings that team that was maybe a little bit mid to maybe a playoff wildcard team. And I think that's what the Royals are going to be. I'm not trying to spoil anything from later on video, but I'm going to go Matt Quatrero from the Kansas City Royals as my AL manager of the year.
I'm going to go AJ Hinch from the Detroit Tigers. I think, honestly, what they've added in their rotation and the fact that they were able to bring back Gleyber Torres and, that whole offense is kind of still intact. I do think with that collapse last year, it was a horrible look. But I will say this. I think it's burning AJ Hinch's ass that happened. And I think it's going to really light a fire under him still in spring training. And I think that team is going to be ran completely different. I think he's going to be very, very stern. I think he's going to be very, very hard on these guys. I don't think he's going to take any type of bullshit, to be honest with you. I think he's that upset that this happened, and I think they're going to have a really, really big year, and I think he'll win Manager of the Year representing the Detroit Tigers, AL Central.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair on both of you. I'm glad that you guys are coming out of the same division, and I'm glad that we now have our second, I believe, three-way split because I'm going a little outside. I think this one was a little more obvious, but I'm very high on them because I'm very impressed with what they did last year, and I feel like they've improved and they've brought in. I'm going Dan Wilson of the Seattle Mariners. I think they're gonna. I don't want to spoil it, but I like their chances to be in the postseason, and I like their chances to make a deep run. When we did our playoff picks for last year, I had the Mariners going to the World Series, and that was, for a reason. I thought they had the pitching staff to do it. They upgraded their offense, and I feel like they have the manager to do it. I feel like he's, coming to his own. He's played for the Mariners back in the early 2000s into the mid. I think it's going to be him, so I'm going Dan Wilson of the Mariners.
I like that. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think they will be right back on top of that throne in the AL West potentially, and that does make a lot of sense. I'm surprised he didn't get more votes last year, actually, with how they kind of merged in the second half.
Yeah, completely. I feel like he got a little he got overlooked, honestly, in my opinion. And Seattle's a very good team. They are a very good team, so I like his chances there. And I guess now is a good time as any to move on to the NL side. Ben, who do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to go Walt Weiss from the Atlanta Braves. I think this is a big redemption story for the Braves this year. I think, obviously, him being the manager now, taking over Brian Snitker's position. I think the Braves are due for a bounce-back year. Yes, I'm buying into the Braves again. Unfortunately, I think they bit me really bad last year. So hopefully they don't do it again. But like I said, for this award right here, I feel like it's what team, goes from not making the playoffs, maybe below average, to getting that wild card or fighting for a wild card spot. And I think Walt Weiss is going to be in that position for the Atlanta Braves. And I really like him. I think he's going to change more so that clubhouse energy. I feel like it kind of fizzled out with Snitker in the last year. So I'm going to go with him to win NL Manager of the Year.
Bro, I like what you said when you say, taking a team that was, missed the playoffs, but they weren't horrible. They were just mid and elevating them to the next level. and I think that's going to be Don Kelly with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Nice.
I really think that this team has made, substantial moves, and like we obviously picked Connor Griffin to win, NL Rookie of the Year. I think that's going to be another piece that he manages very nicely as well. Listen, I think they have all the right pieces to become a wild card spot, at least a second wild card spot, and I think under his leadership, he'll turn this team around. I really do see the Pittsburgh Pirates being competitive. I see them being extremely good when it comes to pitching. And I think that they made a couple of moves with their offense where they're now formidable and they're not just going to roll over and die late in innings. They can actually score some runs and support that pitching staff. So I'm going Don Kelly to win NL Manager of the Year this year.
Honestly, both great picks. I like both picks. And you know what, fellas, listeners, I'm going to do it again. I'm going Homer. Carlos Mendoza. Carlos Mendoza, for the simple fact of how ugly that season ended due to all the injuries and everything else, all the guys underperforming. And I felt like maybe he not lost the clubhouse, but maybe just a little. Just enough that they couldn't find it. They never had a true identity last year. I think that's going to totally change. I think this team is going to maybe take some people by surprise because I feel like everyone's just counting out the Mets now because of how everything played out last year. Everyone had their laughs. Aha, you signed Soto. You couldn't make the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. We're over that, been there, done that. It's done with. It's behind us in the past. I believe he's gonna. I think he's gonna replicate a similar attitude and a similar clubhouse to what he had in 2024. That allowed them to have so much success, and I think that's what he needs to channel, and I think that's what he's going to do, especially with the new regime in there now. The whole team looks different. A lot of moving parts. So I think he's going to take that by the horns, and I think he's going to get the Mets to where they need to be.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Don't mind it at all.
It's definitely possible. I mean, you can't get any worse than what it was last year. I mean, the fact they were 20 plus games over 500 and then the collapse that they had. So this is definitely something that could, that's definitely feasible.
Yeah, I would say so. Now I guess moving on to the feel good side of it. And this is the feel good stuff because this is comeback player of the year. We had interesting picks last year. I thought me and Joe's picks were pretty logical. I think this is going to be no different. And this is things you want to see. So overall, we're going to go start with the AL. Ben, lead us off. Who is your comeback player of the year for the American League?
Yeah, from the Houston Astros, I'm going to go Yordan Alvarez. I think this guy is due for a big season because for the most part, he was not active for the Astros last year. He was on the IL very frequently. He had a little bit of a stint where he came back, and then he messed up his ankle, so then he had to go back on the IL. Fully healthy Yordan, though, you know exactly where you're going to get it from a guy like this. So I really think it's a no-brainer when it comes to the AL. I'm going Yordan Alvarez.
I love that. I'm going to be a little bit of a homer here. I'm going Garrett Cole. I think if Garrett Cole comes back and pitches the way we know he could pitch, even at 90%, it's still better than a lot of people's 100%. And I think if he is pitching well, the Yankees will be fighting for a division. So that'll be a good thing. And I think him at the top of that rotation, pitching well is just so important for the Yankees. We saw last year how they literally had the same record as the Blue Jays at the end of the year. Blue Jays wound up winning the division due to the record that they had against the Yankees. And if the Yankees have Cole, is that different? Do the Yankees maybe win 3 or 4 games more? Who knows? But I do think that if Cole could stay healthy, obviously when he comes back, and there's no other sidebars or any other underlying issues, I really do think he's going to have a nice season, good enough to win comeback player of the year. And I think he'll, if that happens, the Yankees will be right there for the division as well.
Again, overall, two solid picks. Love the logic behind it. I love both picks. The Yordan pick, I love. I've said it multiple times how much I think he's one of the baddest men on the planet. In a batter's box, he is absolute filth. Garrett Cole. It's just better for baseball that he gets back on top of his game. We'll see how he bounces back from his Tommy John. I think he should be fine. He's got the stuff. He's got the experience. He's been around the block 100 times over. So I think those are two relatively no-brainer picks. And I like both of them. I really do, because we want to see bounce back years from those guys. Mine is maybe a little outside the box, and it's something I mentioned earlier, and that was more along the lines of Johan Duran, because how many times are you really watching a game out of the East Coast of Minnesota Twins? How many times do you watch a Twins game? Not many, especially when they're not good. So in that respect, I'm going to take Pablo Lopez of the Minnesota Twins. I think he's one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball. His stuff is absolutely disgusting. A true veteran, a true gamer. He brings it all. And he just dealt with some injuries last year and was unfortunate. The funny part was his numbers were not bad. Granted, he pitched for Minnesota. His win-loss record looks bad. Who cares? His numbers were not bad. He gives you a full season. He could easily give you a top 5, even a top 3 in Cy Young. And we know there are absolute studs in the AL as far as starting pitchers go that compete for a Cy Young. And Pablo Lopez, to me, is one of those guys that when he's on full season, he's in that mode. He's a true ace of that staff. I love his stuff. He was another guy. Had him in fantasy. I kind of got screwed because he got hurt. But he's a sleeper for me. I feel like nobody looks at him, again, because he plays for the Twins. And that's the way that I'm going. I'm going Pablo.
Yeah, I think it's solid. It's bold, but it's solid because it's very much so possible. If he stays healthy throughout the whole year, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it is what it is. So, Ben, again, take us away. NL Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah, my NL Comeback Player of the Year is Zach Wheeler from the Philadelphia Phillies. I think this storyline is written all over it. You know, we talked about it previously in different videos. Just the situation, how serious it got, basically life or death right there. I think the storyline is written all over for him. Even if he could have somewhat of a productive year, maybe 80% Zach Wheeler, this is his award. With, you know, the writers do love storylines big time. And I think Zach Wheeler, NL Comeback Player of the Year, just makes too much sense.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have Zach Wheeler. The fact that this guy literally, was told that he had a blood clot that was potentially entering his lung, and the fact that he's okay and he's going to be playing baseball again is already, like, to me, it's a win-win for the league, for him, his life, his family. So I'm glad that he's okay and that he will be playing baseball again. And listen, I think his talent speaks for itself. This guy will be Comeback Player of the Year. Like Ben said, if he's even at 80%, it doesn't matter. That's to me, 80% is good enough to win this award. So I think Zach Wheeler will be the NL Comeback Player of the Year.
Honestly, I couldn't agree with you guys more, but I also disagree with you in a sense. I love the story of Wheeler. I've always been a fan of Wheeler. I mentioned that on past shows. Listen, the logic is there. The storyline is there. It makes total sense. I do. I wanted to think a little bit more outside the box, and only for the fact that I feel like this could be maybe the last of what we're going to see out of a guy like this. I'm going Chris Sale, staying in the same division. Another guy, he won a Cy Young the year prior and then dealt with major injury last year and was essentially nowhere to be found. I think that's going to change. I think he could be on the cusp of, listen, we're getting to the latter part of his career where he's going to be calling it quits soon. I think we're going to get one more absolute monster season out of him, and then he's going to maybe start to coast and, age as a pitcher does. But I think this is going to be the year he's going to be a monster again. He's going to compete for a Cy Young, and I'm going with Chris Sale.
I love that pick. I mean, he had such a freak injury last year, too. I think he fell and broke his rib. It was such a weird injury.
Yeah.
But a fully healthy season for Chris Sale would be great for baseball. Maybe not Mike, necessarily speaking, but I would love to see it. I've seen this guy pitch a lot here, the South Side. Even though, his career's coming to an end more so, like Mike said. Maybe a fully healthy season, kind of how he said about Giancarlo Stanton yesterday in our bold prediction video. Maybe this could be possibly Chris Sale's fully last healthy season, and I really like this pick.
Yeah, overall, I agree with you guys too. Wheeler, either side of that, Sale or Wheeler, I have no issue with either one of those guys. Wheeler, I understand though. He's got like you guys said, he's got the storyline. This was not he can't get back on the field due to just a baseball injury. This is, like you guys said, this was a life or death type of thing. So this was a little different. And I think that's fair. I really do think that's fair. But if you guys are questioning me on why I did not choose Zach Wheeler, please let us know. Let us know in the comments. We want to see it. We want to see where you guys are at now with our picks. Again, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, whichever one you choose. All three. Do all three. Why not? What are you doing? What are you really doing? You're watching and listening to us. That's what you're doing. So light up our comment section. Send it to a friend. Send it to your ex-girlfriend. I don't care. Send it to whoever you got to do. But help us get there. Help us get there. We're trying to get subscribers. So, guys, if you can, please light up the comment section. and we are getting into the moments you guys have been waiting for, the things that have kept you on this podcast to this point. We are now going into the upper echelon of awards. We're going into, the big stuff here. So I'm just going to get right into it. Cy Young, American League. Ben, who you got?
I got a picture from the Seattle Mariners. Which one is it? I'm going to go with Brian Wu. She rock with the Woo. I rock with the Woo. I think this guy, when he's on the mound, bro, just his presence, his aura. Let me not glaze him too much, but look, man, I rock with Brian Wu here. I think he's a pitcher that he's going to give you the starts. He was a bit banged up towards the end of the year, but in his first half of the season, he was an all-star caliber pitcher, and I think he could be that for a full year. Is he the best pitcher in that rotation? That's up in the air. But if I had to pick one, which I was between him or potentially Jacob deGrom, but I went with Wu because I'm going to just say the youth with Brian Wu is going to give him, Jacob deGrom a little bit injury bug sometimes. So I'm going to go with Brian Wu.
I'm actually going to be going Garrett Crochet from the Boston Red Sox. I think last year he really could have won it, but, obviously there's this guy named Tariq Skubal who just is completely an alien and a robot. But we'll get into that another day. But I think, honestly, his strikeout potential is as good or better than most of these starting pitchers in both leagues, both the NL and the AL. And I think when he has that working, he could strike out 10 by the fifth inning with his eyes closed. And not for nothing, if Boston gives him a couple of runs early, it's usually lights out. At that point, you're probably going to be wound up trailing by the time the seventh or eighth inning rolls around, and he might be still in there. That's how good he could be. He's very dominant. He could throw 120 pitches. I feel like he's got a rubber arm. He's a guy that you can leave in there, and he can still get some key outs. I'm going to go Crochet here, guys. I really do think that he has the potential to win this award, and even though maybe Boston may struggle here and there, I don't think it's going to really affect him. I think he'll win this award.
Well, I said it before, and I'll say it again. If I could just copy and paste everything that Joe just said, because I got the same pick. I took Garrett Crochet, and if you guys remember from last year, I had him winning the award for 2025. I didn't have on my bingo card that in an awards prediction video that I'd be mentioning the Twins for a third time. But if it wasn't for the Minnesota Twins, I believe Garrett Crochet is the reigning Cy Young Award winner because he had that bad start at home, gave up 7 runs. I think that was the difference, to be honest with you, because his numbers were right there, and that would have been a real big argument. And that would have been a fun argument between him and Skubal. And to say that Skubal could be dethroned is, wild to say at this point because, like Joe said, the guy is a robot. He's an alien. Who is he? He's a guy that shows up to his arbitration hearing like Tim Lincecum with 2 Cy Young Awards on his shoulder. So I think that speaks for itself. But if there is a person in the American League that I think can dethrone Tariq Skubal, it is Garrett Crochet. He has the poise. He has the attitude. He has the look. He has the makeup. He has the intimidation factor. It is Garrett Crochet, and I'm going back to back. I'm taking him again.
Look, it's I wouldn't call it a safe option, but it's for sure a reliable option because you know what you're getting when Garrett Crochet is on the mound, a dominant force. I mean, look, that pitching staff with the Red Sox as well. I think they're set up for success this year. That's for a later video, but I really like the Garrett Crochet pick. I think it's very safe, but very solid.
I think it's fair. So, Ben, lead us off into the NL side of it. Who is your Cy Young Award winner in the National League?
From the Cincinnati Reds, I'm going Hunter Green. I think all this guy has to do is stay healthy. That's it. Stay healthy a full year, and I think he's right there with Skeens battling for this award. I really do like Hunter Green, and I think the only problem with him has been health. That's it. I mean, if you look at how he was doing this year, I think I had him in last year, should I say, in fantasy. He was absolutely killing it until he had the groin issue, and that became a whole issue by itself. And then he went on the IL. Season kind of got just lost in the sauce. But I think a fully healthy season of Hunter Green, get him to Cy Young. I truly believe that.
Fair.
I'm going with Yamamoto-san. I think after his playoff debut last year, I think he was his playoffs last year and his World Series was just absolutely fantastic. This guy's a beast, man. I really do see him having enough run support every fifth start with that offense, which it basically you might as well just give them metal bats too at this point. But I do see Yamamoto having a monster year. I think he wins 15 plus games. I think his ERA is going to be probably like in the 2.6, 2.5 range, maybe even lower. I think he's going to have a monster year. I really do, and I see him taking home his first Cy Young.
Honestly, I like both picks. I think they're pretty fair. So now to give our audience some clarity, because you guys know who I took in the NL side of this. Here's the reality of it. I don't really think you're going to win the Cy Young Award and Comeback Player of the Year in the same season. I think that the guy who's you could arguably say has been snubbed a few times over the last few years and could say has been right there and should have maybe won it, and there is a case and an argument that he could have won it. I think Zach Wheeler is going to do it. I really do. I think Zach Wheeler is going to win the NL Cy Young Award. I think he is very well deserved of it. He's gotten close. He's gotten real close, and it just hasn't happened. So maybe that's part of my trend leading into some of these bigger awards. I think Wheeler is going to finally put it together and actually get it done. I love what he brings to the table. And you know what? This could potentially be his last full season because he's come out and said 2027, when his contract is up, he is done. We don't know what 2027 is going to be. So if there is an opportunity and a chance for him to win the award, it is right here and now. And he's coming off one of the most heartfelt stories there are to have. It's always, crazy to see some of these guys. I mean, we've had Trey Mancini in the past. These guys have battled cancer and life or death situations, and they make it back to the baseball field. So here we are again in a situation like that. Give it everything. Leave everything you possibly can out on that mound. Zach Wheeler has taken home the NL Cy Young Award.
Love it. I really do.
And finally, to finish the night, American League MVP.
Drum roll,
Ben.
please.
I'm not doing that.
Sorry.
Because I'll shake my camera and it might drop, and I'm just we don't need to do that. So Ben,
Just do it to your mic.
All right, here we go. AL MVP. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I'm a dumb fuck. I'm gonna go Bobby Witt again. I'm doing it. I'm doing it again. Give me Bobby Witt, second year in a row. Give me Bobby Witt for AL MVP. I'm buying the Kool-Aid on the Kansas City Royals this year. What can I say? I'm all in on the Royals this year. I really do like, and I think those dimensions are really going to help this guy who, sometimes got snubbed for a few home runs in that ballpark. Look, what was it, 2 years ago when Judge won the MVP? I think it was. He had 10 WAR. He was a 10 WAR player and finished second in MVP. That is mind-boggling. I think he had a little bit of a downward year, depending how you look at it, right? It was still a good year, though. All-star caliber year as well. But I think this is where he gets his MVP. I'm taking Bobby Witt again. Please don't.
I am too. I took him last year over my Aaron Judge, and I said, there's no way he can have another year the way he did. And what did Aaron do? He said, hold my beer, idiot. And then, but now can he do it for a third time? Probably, but I'm still going to go Bobby Witt. I just think, the law of averages, right? You got to take that into accountability as well. And I think right now, the one guy behind Judge is Bobby Witt, and I think he's just going to step up and have a monster year. He had great numbers last year: 23 home runs, 95 RBIs, I believe, and he hit 295. Yeah, those are great numbers. They're not MVP type numbers, but I think if, like you said, Ben, they moved in those fences. If he could hit 35, 40 home runs, he's capable of hitting 320. He's going to play phenomenal defense and can steal 40 to 50 bags. I mean, he might have to get it at that point. So I'm going to go Bobby Witt. I think he's going to be a huge catalyst to that Kansas City Royals offense and defense and the team in general. And I'm going Bobby Witt to win his first ever MVP.
That's fair. That is fair. I get what you guys are coming from, but Joe, to maybe correct you on something you said, law of averages, right? So I'm going to disprove what you just said with my pick. And it's going to be similar mentality to my Zach Wheeler pick. A guy who has been there, a guy who's finished in the top 5, a guy who's been a finalist, a guy who gets, I feel like, almost overlooked throughout baseball. I feel like now everybody's been saying that this guy gets so overlooked that he is no longer overlooked. This man deserves his flowers. He deserves his MVP award because he's been so close and has yet to get there. Give it to my guy, one of my favorite players in baseball. Give me Jose Ramirez. J-Ram will win the AL MVP. I'm speaking that into existence. Because if there is a player out there that deserves it, is this guy. He is Mr. Consistency. He's given you 30 seasons. He plays in Cleveland. He gives you solid defense. You know what he's going to bring. Give this man a healthy year. I mean, he's been healthy, but I want to see 40-40, and I think he's going to go for it. I think, why not? What's he got to lose? I feel like he deserves an MVP. I feel like he needs it on his resume, and I feel like he's just going to get it. And I feel like now's the year.
I really, really thought about going with J-Rod as well for a second because I think if the Mariners are the best team in the AL West, he could get the votes, but he just needs a full season of him being on it. He starts out very slow, so that's why I actually leaned towards Bobby Witt.
That's fair. Listen, I understand both of you guys. I get the logic. Bobby Witt is a phenomenal baseball player, one of the best shortstops, if not the best shortstop, arguably in baseball. So I don't have an issue with it, but I want to see J Ram win his, and we're gonna go the NL side of it. Ben, NL MVP.
Don't go from the NL East. I'm going Ronald Acuna Jr.
Wow.
I still believe in this guy. I really do. Obviously, the concern is health. That's the number one concern. But when this guy is on the field, he is still one of the best players in all of baseball. If only, obviously, he's not going to steal the amount of bags he did in 2023. But if he could somewhat steal maybe 50, 45-ish, hit for a decent average, hit maybe 40 home runs, I think he's going to be right in the mix. He's a great defender as well. I'm going to go Ronald Acuna Jr. I'm buying in on the Braves as well. Again, wow, I'm an idiot.
I am going Juan Jose Soto Pacheco to win NL MVP. No, listen, I don't think we're going to see a Juan Soto that hits 263 for a very long time. I think him moving to left is actually going to help him immensely. I thought this was the best move the Mets made all offseason. Forget about the guys they added. Them switching him to left actually is really going to help. I think he looks way more comfortable. He played a lot of left field in Washington, a lot of left field for San Diego as well. And he had a couple of games in Citi Field for both teams where he played left field, and he looked very comfortable there. Made some nice plays over his head, made some nice plays in stride, made some nice plays going to the corner. And I think he's going to just mash the baseball as he normally does. And if he could keep the stolen base, attribute, going upward, trending upward like he did last year, I think that's going to really help him. In the fight against Ohtani and guys like Kyle Schwarber, I really do think he's going to hit 45 home runs. He'll not get 115, and I think he'll hit 290, 300. And to me, if you could see him stealing 35 to 40 again, you may have to just hand him this award. So I think Soto's going to win this award for the first time as a New York Met.
Again, copy and paste, except I'm going to add a little bit to it. I've also taken Juan Soto. If you guys remember my our video from last year, I also took Juan Soto. So I have two guys that I'm repeating taking their picks because they fell short. So I'm going to go with Soto again, and I'm going to add a little bit to what Jay had mentioned. So overall, historically, we've seen this with some of the superstars that have come over to New York: Francisco Lindor, Carlos Beltran, to name a few. New Hall of Fame member Carlos Beltran, I might add. But they struggled in their first season, and it's crazy to say that a guy that finished third in MVP last year actually struggled in his first season in New York. So that's number one. But their second year was through the roof. Now, Beltran, I believe, hit over 40 home runs in his second year. Lindor lit it up, did what he had to do. I believe went 30-30 for the first time as a Met. So I think that's also part of the equation. To what Joe mentioned about the steals, something I was looking into. I saw a video about it. Somebody broke this down a little bit. The reason why Soto was able to get the stolen bases that he did had to do with him identifying the pitcher and when he was going to throw a breaking pitch. Because I believe roughly about half, close to half of his stolen bases, and take away the element of surprise when he was first doing it throughout the year when we weren't expecting Soto to steal, he was identifying the breaking pitch. He is so good of a hitter that he's identifying breaking pitches at first base. So the fact that he's now added that new element to his game has made him so much more dangerous. And like what Joe said, he could easily rip 45 home runs, drive in $115, $120, steal you 30 or 35 bases. Now, when are we ever going to say that? The move to left field, I also believe, is going to help him out. The dimensions in left are a little bit better for him. I think it's just a better overall. If you're going to kind of hide a guy's defense, you're going to stick him in left field a little bit. So I think that's also going to work. And I think he's just primed for a absolute monster of a season. So, yes, I am going Juan Soto.
I like that. I had Soto last year, actually. And if he didn't start off slow, he would have had a great chance because Ohtani didn't pitch till, July or what was it, August?
Yeah.
I think he would have had a great chance to win it last year. He'll still have a great chance this year, but yeah, just wanted to switch it up a little bit.
And guys, just so you know, before we wrap here, we've given you all of our predictions. We've given you the best logic possible, what goes on in our brains. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but I feel like in this video it did. So in reality, yes, we do know that Aaron Judge and we do know that Shohei Ohtani exist, and we do know that Paul Skeens and Scooble exist. But we want to think outside the box. We don't really want to, really go down that road. I mean, it's just too obvious. And then what? Everybody's picking Judge and Ohtani and Skeens and Scooble. Then why even make the video? So we gave you our logic on why we're maybe not jumping in on the bandwagon again. Listen, it burned some of us last year. It is what it is. But I want to see other guys do it. I do. Not to take away from some of these guys' greatness, the Judges and the Otanis. I don't want to take away from their greatness, but I want to see other guys win. A guy like J-Ram deserves it. Absolutely deserves it. Overall, I love everybody's picks. I really do. I thought the logic was there. I thought it was all there. So we want to hear from you now. Again, for the last time, you're going to hear my spiel. Guys, light up our comment section. Send this to whoever. Send this to somebody who thinks, or they maybe thinks the same, and it's like, wow, they're on the same wavelength. Maybe we can get along. Maybe you guys can light up the comments, and we'll know. But we're not going to if you stay silent, because nobody wants to deal with that. Who wants to be silent? Let us know. Talk to us. Give us your picks, top to bottom, everything that we did, and see where we agree, see where we align. And if you really think anything we said was outlandish, again, let us know. We want to hear it. But guys, as always, we appreciate you. Have a great night.